to my channel and welcome to today's video. Today we are doing finally a what I have been watching video. I have a whole series of this on my channel. If you are not familiar, I started making these videos years and years ago. I used to make them with a glass of wine or some sort of beverage when I used to film at night. I wish I could have a drink with you right now, but I do have to go to work after this and that would be inappropriate. So we're not going to do that. But I am going to share with you a list of some things that I've been watching. I know it's been a long time since my last one. I've just been really busy. I was on the trip for almost 2 weeks. I just haven't been watching as much TV or movies or anything. So this list has been compiled from like the past 3 months and I don't have too much on it, so that just goes to show you. But I do have a couple of goodies to share with you. So the very first one, and this will show you how long ago I started this list. The first thing on the list is season 4 of Love is Blind, and I've watched it so long ago now that I barely remember the cast. This was the cast with Jackie and Marshall and Peter and Micah and what was the villain's name? I see her face in my head. Oh, we all know who I'm talking about. I don't remember her name. So yes, okay, now that I'm talking about it, it's coming back to me. I will say, not my favorite season. I won't talk about it too much because I think I talked about it in another video a couple of months ago. So I won't talk too much about it. Not my favorite season to exist. I think my favorite seasons are still season 1 and 3, I believe. But this one wasn't my least favorite either. Like season 2, I couldn't even tell you who was on that season. As always, it was messy. It was filled with drama. The producers, you know, the devil works hard, the producers work harder. It's very evident in this show. I will say the couples that have made it through are still together and still going strong. I think Peter has a girlfriend now. I saw that like literally yesterday on Instagram. If you don't know, I'll just give you a little brief synopsis of what the show is about. If you don't know, I'm sure most of you do. Love is Blind is basically where they take, how many women? 20, 15, we'll say 15, I don't know, 15 women, 15 men, and they basically get to blind date each other. So they all date each other, but the kicker is you don't know what the other one looks like, so you talk through a wall, and the goal is to see whether you can fall in love with somebody or not based on just personality alone rather than, you know, also having looks as well. And then they get engaged before they see each other, and then once they're engaged they can have their first meeting, and then they kind of can decide, are we going to continue with this relationship, or, you know, most of them do continue until they don't. So anyway, that's the general synopsis of the show. It's trashy television, but we love it. So, okay. The next one, I haven't heard too many people on YouTube talk about it, but on social media, it was very popular. The Night Agent, starring Gabriel Basso. He was like a child actor, but then didn't act for a while, and I think this was like his re-emergence into the acting world, into Hollywood and whatever. I actually really enjoyed this show. So the synopsis, I'll read it to you. So it says, FBI agent Peter Sutherland is thrown into a vast conspiracy about a mole at the highest levels of the United States government. To save the nation, he plunges into a desperate hunt for the traitor while protecting former tech CEO Rose Larkin from the people who murdered her aunt and uncle. So essentially he works in the White House. They come, him and the girl, Rose, come into a suspicion when he meets her. That there's a mole in the White House, and they basically are working to uncover who it is while, you know, being attacked and people are trying to kill them. I personally love a White House action drama show movie. I don't know why, I always have, ever since I was a kid. Like Olympus Has Fallen with Gerard Butler. Channing Tatum had one too. Like, I just love those movies. I do. I always have. So I was very interested. I knew that I loved this show because I literally couldn't stop watching it, and I didn't touch my phone once while watching these episodes. I want to say it was like 10 episodes-ish. I did not touch my phone once. I was so, like, into it, and I even rewatched the first 6 episodes again, just because I wanted to watch it again. I didn't want it to be over. I never, ever do that. So I just thought it was so good. It had action, it had, like, mystery, like, things that you had to figure out. It had a little bit of romance. It just, and the romance was, like, very small, but, like, it was there. It was tasteful. I love it. I loved it. They've gotten picked up for a 2nd season. Obsessed. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for it to come back. I don't even think they've started filming it yet, so it's gonna be a really long time. But when it does come back, oh, I'm gonna be so excited. Okay, the next one is the show that I'm currently still watching, and I started watching it at the perfect time. I watched Manifest. Manifest is a Netflix original. It's been on my Netflix list for like months and months, and I just kept putting it off. I don't think I thought that I was gonna really enjoy it. Basically, it is about a flight. It's called Flight 828, and it gets lost for 5 years, 4 years. I think it's 5, something like that. I think it's 5 years. But for the passengers on the flight, they only feel like they just went on a flight. They had really bad turbulence when they were up there, but then they made it back down and they were fine. When they landed, they realized that it's 5 years into the future. All their family and friends think that they died. Everybody's moved on with their life. And what the passengers start to realize when they get home is that they have these abilities. Some of them hear voices, some of them get deep feelings where they can, like, sense what's gonna happen. They can stop crimes. One of them is an NYPD officer, so she uses her newfound abilities to help her solve cases. And as the seasons go on, the powers that they get are a little more powerful. And it's all about trying to uncover what happened on the flight. How did they get these powers? How did they disappear but not really disappear for 5 years? Where did they go? And we're still trying to figure it out. I'm on the last season now, and it worked perfectly because I watched the first 3 seasons, and I was very late to the game. When I finished the 3rd season, the 4th season was coming out like a week later. So it was perfect timing for me. I didn't have to wait. So I'm basically just watching it all the way through. So I'm on the last season. This is the series finale this season. And it's so good. And again, it has action, it has mystery, it has sci-fi stuff if you're into that. It's got a little bit of romance here and there. It's got a little bit for everybody. And it's just really good. It has held my attention. I haven't taken any, like, breaks. Sometimes I do that with shows, and that's how you know that I may not really be enjoying it that much. And so I'm almost done, and I'm gonna be really sad when it's done. But I really, really like that, so I usually come home and I watch an episode of that. Or, no, I don't really watch 2 anymore. Lately I come home, I watch an episode, and then I go to bed. Lately I haven't even been doing that. Lately I come home, I read, and then I go to bed. But anyway. The next one is a movie. It's an old movie. I finally watched it. I've been meaning to watch it for years. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. That is with Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey. And it's a classic for a reason. I forget what year it's from, but it's definitely an older one. Early 2000s, probably. And so basically, he is like like a ladies' man, whatever, like an expert on that stuff, and she is a journalist, And so they're basically trying to like play tricks on each other. She's trying to prove that, you know, a guy who's so into her, like, she can just turn into the worst girlfriend ever and make him break up with her. But then he's on the opposite side, where he's saying that he could like put up with all this stuff and like stick it out and date somebody like super long term and whatever. And so no matter what she does, he doesn't break up with her. And that's the whole movie. She's trying to get him to fall out of love with her, but then of course they end up falling in love at the end. It's not a spoiler, it's just that's the kind of movie it is. You could take a guess. The chemistry that those two have, and even had back then, was like amazing. That's why they're two of the best like A-list actors. I think she is. He definitely is. I think she would be considered, right? Just like almost to the point where like I wanted them to date in real life afterwards, even though that movie was from like 20 years ago. It was just so good. I was like smiling the whole time. They are definitely like experts on their craft as actors. It was great. I loved it. I would watch it again. So that is on Netflix if you've never seen it, or if you just want to watch it again, it's on Netflix. Okay, I finally also watched the movie Loving, which tells the true story of Richard and Mildred Loving, from the 60s, late 50s, early 60s. So I'll read the synopsis to you. It's from 2016. It says, interracial couple Richard and Mildred Loving fell in love and were married in 1958. They grew up in Central Point, a small town in Virginia that was more integrated than surrounding areas in the American South. Yet it was the state of Virginia where they were making their home and starting a family that first jailed and then banished them. Richard and Mildred relocated with their children to the inner city of Washington, D.C., but the family ultimately tries to find a way back to Virginia. I remember hearing about the case of Loving versus Virginia when I was a kid in school, in history class. And it always stood out to me. I don't know if it's the fact that his last name was Loving, and like this is about their love story and everything that they went through. Maybe that's probably why it stuck out to me. And so I've been meaning to watch this movie for a long time because there's a lot that I forgot. I was a kid when I first learned about it, and also I didn't know everything there was to know about it, and so I wanted to know more, so I wanted to watch the movie. And also, I forget his name, the guy that played Richard. I didn't save that part. You would know him if you saw his face. He's also a well-known actor. I love everything that he's in, and they did such a good job with it. The woman who played Mildred, I had never seen her before in anything else, but she was really, really great. It's a long movie, so just kind of bank on that if you sit down to watch it, but I definitely think it's worth your while. I think you'll learn a lot, and again, it's just such a wild story and a reminder of like what it was like back then, and it's just still to this day blows my mind. But I think the movie was really, really well done, so it got an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. For Rotten Tomatoes, that's pretty good. The next one is also a movie. I think it's a Netflix original. I could be wrong, but I think it is. It's called A Man Called Otto with my man Tom Hanks. He's getting so old, but I love him so much. So, I will say, well, let me read the synopsis first. It says, when a lively young family moves in next door, grumpy widower Otto Anderson meets his match in a quick-witted, pregnant woman named Marisol, leading to an unlikely friendship that turns his world upside down. So let me say real quick, a big trigger warning. There are talks and images of suicide in this movie, like to the point where like my family and I, which thankfully we don't get really triggered by that in movies, but even us, we were like, whoa, like they really like went for it. They weren't holding back. Okay. So just be mindful of that. But this movie made me cry. It pulled on my heartstrings. Basically, he's a widower. He misses his wife. His wife was his world, and he's just so unhappy. And then this family moves in next door, and they're just like leeches. Like they just latch onto him and they won't let go. And by the end of the movie, you know, they become like family to each other. Like their kids call him Uncle Otto, and he learns how to love life again, little by little. It's very, very, very sweet movie. It made me cry. I love Tom Hanks. I'm a sucker for anything Tom Hanks. I would recommend it to you. I really would. If you think that that's a movie that you could watch. The next one I kind of watched like on a whim. I had always wanted to read the book and I never did. Still haven't. The Glass Castle. They made a movie about it and it is on Netflix. So the synopsis says, based on a memoir, 4 siblings must learn to take care of themselves as their responsibility. Averse, free spirit parents both inspire and inhibit them. When sober, the children's brilliant and charismatic father captured their imagination, teaching them physics, geology, and how to embrace life fearlessly. But when he drank, he was dishonest and destructive. Meanwhile, their mother abhorred the idea of domesticity and didn't want to take on the work of raising a family. So this stars Brie Larson. I really like her. She's a great actress. I believe the book is based on a true story, and yeah, it's a very dysfunctional family where the kids grew up and had to make lives for themselves because they didn't really have the support of their parents, and their parents love them very much, but they're just free spirits, and their dad, like I just said, like when he drank, he was abusive to the mother and was disruptive and destructive, and you know, they basically just, especially Brie Larson, her character, I forget her character's name, but she's like the main character, and she has to learn to forgive, and she has to learn how to, you know, kind of accept her parents for the way that they are. But she also has to realize, you know what, if I want to help them but they don't want my help, I have to let them be homeless. I have to let them live their life how they want to live it because they don't want my help, especially the mom. So it was a little long. I do think I was kind of bored at parts. I wouldn't watch it again, but I'm glad I watched it because I always just wanted to know what the story was of the Glass Castle. I don't think I'll read the book now, but if you have read the book, I would recommend watching the movie. It was definitely a good movie. It was well done, I should say, but it definitely got a little boring for me at parts. And the last thing, you guys know me, the new season of Queer Eye came out, and that show just makes me so happy. If you don't know what it is, Queer Eye is about 4 gay men who essentially give people makeovers, you know, themselves personally, but also, you know, like they help them mentally, they give them a new house or a new space, or they remodel their house or their space, and everybody has a story, and it's people who have kind of forgotten how to take care of themselves, or have forgotten how special they are, or just who need a little bit of help. And so they are nominated by loved ones in their lives, and the Queer Eye team, the 4 of them, it's Anthony, Dan, Karamo, and Bobby. There it is. The 4 of them, they all have an area of expertise, and they go and they help the person nominated. And the very first episode of this new season, they go to a frat house and basically remodel their space, and you know, they're young boys. They're not your stereotypical frat. They're like a little more like, you know, like quirky and nerdy, but they live in like a pigsty. And so when the team got there and they're like walking through the house and they're like, it smells so bad, and oh my god, I thought it was so funny. But it's really just like, it's a show just filled with positivity, and I love that. It just makes me feel good when I Louisiana. A lot of times they like travel all over the place. I think this one is just Louisiana. I could be wrong, but I think that's true. And yeah, so that's my list. Again, it wasn't the best list I've ever had. It wasn't the longest list I've ever had, but that's what I have had time to watch within the last couple of months. So I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you have any recommendations for me on what I should watch, as always, leave them down below. I love you guys for watching. I look forward to reading your